Duke, to the benefit of its location, its furthest trip is actually only up to Virginia Tech and the University of Virginia, only about 3 hours away.
Now you see the Region 2, Virginia Tech, NC State, North Carolina, and Duke. Taking a look at some of the players to watch in this one. Just a few days ago, it was Lizzie Fleming and Gracie Johnson. Johnson, the double-double. Fleming, 6 kills, no errors. They were spectacular for Duke.
Absolutely, and Lizzie Fleming, really nice rhythm to start out the season on Wednesday, a much better rhythm even than last year. And then moving on to Gracie Johnson, attacking a variety of swings. You see her here in the middle, and now on the left, some great swings by her.
On the other side, Melissa Evans, Pam Chukwujekwu for the Wolfpack. Evans closing in on 1,000 kills now for her career.
And Evans again will be the go-to player here her senior year, and look for a new spot for her. She'll be swinging out of the back row as well. Pam Chukwujekwu also on the floor, and you'll notice her, she is easily the most athletic leaper on the team for NC State. If they can get the rhythm going for her, then NC State's gonna have a nice start to the evening.
Chukwujekwu, 11 kills, just 3 errors a couple days ago. New presence on the sidelines for the NC State Wolfpack. There you see Luka Slabe, just a tremendous amount of international coaching experience, national teams, incredible resume, a lot of excitement. But Paul only had 9 practices with this team when he arrived earlier this year before COVID shut everything down.
COVID shut everything down. He was expecting to go off and do the Olympics as the assistant coach this year, but instead it's shut down, and he's back now for NC State here in point number 1.
It's Schwantz with the attack from the outside. Evans digs that one out. The extended first point here. Evans keeps it alive temporarily, but the Blue Devils score point number 1.
Nice scramble along the way. Some good coverage for NC State, but NC State's getting blocked early. Look for that big block all day for Duke.
From year 1 for Slabe to decade 3 for Jolene Nagel, her 22nd season on the sidelines at Duke. Clearly Myers not getting all of that one, and it's 2-0 to the Blue Devils.
Already NC State out of system, and that's one of the keys that Coach Slabe talked about earlier today to me, was a little bit of ball control can go a long way for this team to get things going.
Not an ideal first contact. Springgate able to handle it. It's Schwantz on the attack once again. Frazier is there. Once again to Myers, and that one sails long. Quick start for the Blue Devils.
Myers trying to change it up. First she goes short, and she had a miss short of the net, and now this one just long. That was the right idea, but just a little bit long. That should have been, could have been a point for NC State. Good choice by her.
An unfortunate start for Myers. 3 errors already. An unfortunate serve there as the Wolfpack is on the board.
And Chukwujekwu enters the game, and I know we talked about her earlier. Look for a big start from her if the ball control is quality on the NC State side.
It's the freshman Riley Schalk, 4 blocks the other day. She serves first for the Wolfpack. Wilkenieren forced to send the free ball over to NC State. There is Chukwujekwu.
Nice block by Peyton Schwantz. She was well positioned for that. Nice dig from Adi Awakaniran, but they can't quite save it. But nice up off the power swing from Awakaniran to keep the ball alive.
Wolfpack back within 1 for the most part, back and forth sets. The other day, 4 of the 5 very close. Duke ran away with set 3, won that one 25-8. But all of the others relatively close throughout. Springgate forced to track that one down. Not a great first contact. A meeting at the net, and Cooper wins that battle.
Nice job by Cooper, and that's a big mismatch between Cooper and the setter, Krista McDaniel. Cooper is expected to put that down, and she did just that. Big power, big strength by Cooper to put the roof over that one.
Cooper with an 8-inch height advantage in that matchup, doing what she would be expected to do there. Schwantz with the serve, and the Blue Devils a 2-point lead. Chukwujekwu from the outside, and the combination of Cooper and Johnson are there.
Fantastic block. Cooper closes that block. I think Cooper could see that set was going to Chukwujekwu, and she set up, and she was able to stop the swing.
Blue Devils did have the advantage in that category. Generated 16 points off the block the other day compared to just 9 for NC State.
Yeah, big advantage, and Duke will hope to continue with that later on today. Several back row attack swings from Melissa Evans. That one, a big bomb out of the pipe, and from the big lefty swing of Melissa Evans. Nice kill out of the back row for her.
Here's Kristen McDaniel, the sophomore out of the state of Hawaii. Had 11 digs the other day to go along with nearly 40 assists. And the Blue Devils have doubled up the Wolfpack 6-3 here in the early going.
Yep, and nice combination play. Owa Kaniran coming into the middle to take the swing.
Mackenzie Cole back to serve for Duke. Strong server for the Blue Devils. Tough first contact there for Frazier. Evans forced to cut the angle. Blue Devils thought it was outside the antenna, and it was.
You're going to see a lot of Melissa Evans. She's going to take that swing, hit or miss on that one. She's expected to at least keep that ball in play. Onto another serve from Mackenzie Cole. She brings this ball in nice and low and flat, causing problems for the service reception of NC State.
Frazier steps in front of that one. Nice dig from Cole. Johnson with the swing. Was it deflected? They'll say yes, and the Blue Devils are up by 5. Ball landed long, but it did look, at least the naked eye, to be touched at the net.
Yeah, a little bit of a deflection, and actually in the empty gym, now you're going to be able to hear those deflections once in a while, especially the officials. They're not supposed to call sound, but that's certainly a good clue as to if there was a touch or not.
Another wayward pass. Evans, though, able to finish that one off. The Wolfpack out of rhythm, out of system there, but still able to come up with point number 4.
Yep, Evans had to come inside to attack this ball. And she does so going across the body, and then she goes a little bit with the off speed to get that ball in play.
Evans hoping to become, and probably will become, the first at NC State to 1,000 career kills since Julia Brown did that in 2017. That one is long, and the Wolfpack back within 3.
And this is a unique rotation for Duke. Gracie Johnson over on the right. She's going to take more right side swings here. And for them to get in rhythm, they need to get out of this side out early. Besides the mistake from Hartley Myers, that'll be a rotation to watch when we see this one come back around.
Myers with the service error. The freshman with a double-double in her collegiate debut against the Blue Devils. A little bit of a slower start here, but a terrific debut with the 12 kills and 11 digs the other night there. The first contact just a bit off.
And you were mentioning Hartley Myers. Yeah, absolutely. And for a freshman to start out against Duke at this level and knock off 12 kills, that's pretty fantastic.
A timeout from Coach Slaube as the Blue Devils lead 10-5 here in the first. Duke hoping to make it a 2-match sweep against the Wolfpack here in Durham. Back inside Cameron Indoor Stadium where it's 10-5 Duke, and there you see really, Paul, the story. 6 errors already for the Wolfpack. Blue Devils in double digits in points. They've only got 2 kills of their own. Unfortunately, a little bit of an issue. Wolfpack in their own way at this point.
Absolutely, and it's the attack errors. They're taking the right swings, but they're just missing. A freshman Hartley Myers with 3 attack errors already. Maybe the jitters, the freshman jitters are now starting to kick in her second collegiate match.
Big time swing from Evans there, simply overpowers Schwantz. And NC State back within 4. You know, I think one of the interesting things to look for today, both teams playing their first match in a long, long time. Normally you have the benefit of the spring, get a lot of repetitions, you even get some matches in. Nobody got a chance to do that. So this is the first real game action that anybody's seeing for almost a calendar year, and you wonder how much of that first match was just working out some of the rust. No rust shown there by Jade Parchment, who just hammers that one down.
Welcome back to the game, Jade Parchment, and they need that offense from her. She struggled on Wednesday, but what a bomb down the line for Jade Parchment here. And you're going to see that she's going to rip this ball down.
A free ball to work with, and NC State took full advantage. Chukwujekwu back to serve. Awokaniran, Blue Devils would love to see her get untracked a little bit. Mazer goes to her again. Evans forced to send it over. Blue Devils a good opportunity here. Nazer over in 2. Saw her do that a couple of times the other day.
Absolutely, and Nazer in for Springate in the front row to set. It gives her the advantage of setting the slide if she needs to, but also she shows herself with that power dump there.
Nazer with the size too at 6'1", that play is a little bit easier for her.
Absolutely, and she's also going to help out on that block.
Kaniran back to serve.
And you just mentioned it a moment ago. I was just going to pop in. Kaniran needs to have better connection today and also maybe some better confidence. And a serve like that will certainly get her some confidence so she could start scoring for Duke. And Duke really needs her. She is definitely their top returning offensive threat from last year.
Lead is restored to 5. The ace and then the error for Kaniran. And now Evans back to serve, preseason All-ACC for the 3rd straight year.
And look for Evans to serve at Kaniran after Kaniran missed her serve. Maybe mentally they're going to test her and see how she's doing.
A good pass from Kaniran to Fleming in the middle. Nice connection there all the way around for the Blue Devils.
Fantastic middle quick out of Fleming. Nice connection between she and Nazer, and that connection between Nazer and Fleming is so big for the Duke offense. You can see Fleming reaching to the top of her swing. That allows her to really work her way around the block there. Credit to Nazer for putting her in that position.
Nazer forced that time really to go over in 2. All the way across it goes to Parchment once again. Nice dig from Fleming. Kaniran from the back row sails that one long.
Kaniran's put in a tough spot there. She's trying to make a save. Now she needs to keep it in. Everybody would say that, but she's also trying to do something that challenges NC State. And when you try a little too hard, you send a ball along like that.
Myers returns to the floor as Wander takes a seat. Here is Parchment, 2-time ACC Freshman of the Week a couple of years ago. Now a junior.
And Parchment's a fantastic leaper. She gets off the floor really quick, and for her size at 5'10", she's maybe a tad undersized, but she makes up for it with her quickness.
Kaniran just got out of the way of that one. I mean, that didn't miss her arms by much. Her teammates were yelling at her that it was long, and they were right. And she listened, and the lead is 14-9 with Springate back to serve.
That's a hard one. Sometimes that volleyball feels like a magnet. It's pulling to your arms even when you know it's going out, so good for her to resist that urge.
Springate keeps it alive. Over from Johnson, but a free ball for the Wolfpack. Tight to the net. Shaw couldn't do much with it. Cooper in the middle.
Fantastic transition from Cooper, and it all started with a perfect pass from Cole, diving in to make the save, and then the middle did the rest there. Nice connection there.
15-9 with Springate serving. Looking for and finding Myers. Here's Evans from the back row, just in front of Kaniran. Well placed that time for the senior.
Very smart play by Evans. She'd been taking big swings out of the pipe, and then she goes off speed. I think Duke was a little bit on their heels on this one.
Very different story at the start of this one for Evans, hitting 500 out of the gate after going 089 the other day. Very much more of what the doctor ordered for Coach Slabe. Here is Schwantz, and Evans can't control it.
Fantastic line swing from Schwantz, as she was able to get around the block, and then she overpowered the right back defense of NC State.
Lead is half a dozen for the Blue Devils here in the first set. The back row attack from Evans. Springate sends it over to Johnson, just wide.
Good swing by Johnson, just a little long. You can see there was open space where she was trying to swing, but that ball sailed on her. And so far you're seeing for NC State, it's all Evans all the time. She's taken a ton of swings.
McDaniel to serve, couple of digs and 4 assists for her on the evening so far. Into the body of Cole. The double block was there, but it landed just wide. NC State had it set up, just couldn't direct that ball back into the court.
Yeah, just a game of inches there. It was a well set up block, and with Chukwujeku and also Evans standing out over there, camping out, they just missed the stuff for the point.
Here's Mackenzie Cole. Closing in on 900 career digs. Wayward first contact, going to be a free ball for Duke. Awokeniran is there first. Springate goes to Fleming inside. McDaniel able to keep it alive. Frazier tees it up for Evans, and she tools the block.
Nice swing by Evans, and they work their way out of that tough serving run from Cole. Cole, great flat serve again. Caused problems for NC State, but they got out of trouble. And something unique here, in one rotation, you've got Melissa Evans on the left. The other two now she's playing on the right.
How about that pass from Frazier to set up Evans? Good first contact for Schwantz. It's Fleming from the outside going cross court. How about that angle?
That's a great cut, and that's your classic thumbs down swing. Drop your thumb, reach high, and cut that ball. That's a very hard, high-level swing to make. Nice shot by her.
6-point lead for the Blue Devils. It's been in this 5-6 point region for a while now. As Johnson steps into the serve. All the way across into Nazer. Parchment, enough velocity that time to give the Wolfpack point number 13.
Nice job by Parchment on the swing, and what was really beneficial there was NC State was in a system that really held the block and caused Parchment to be allowed to swing into a not completely closed block.
Chukwujekwu. Fleming touches it over top. Nice effort for Chukwujekwu, but Fleming continues to be so efficient on offense for the Blue Devils.
She's such a threat, and I think she noticed that Chukwujekwu was set up in the left back, and maybe Chukwujekwu was just a little bit too deep, and that allowed for the tip. Great court vision by her.
We showed you 6 coming back from our break last time. They still are on 6, so they haven't had one since then. Unfortunately, the deficit was already there, but at least as you head into set 2, perhaps, and still plenty of time left in this first set, but you carry a little bit of that momentum forward.
Absolutely. Whether or not NC State comes back, as long as they can continue with this kind of play, it'll be a little bit closer going forward.
Evans, 2 blockers there for Duke, but just too much power. All freshman team in 2017. Second team All ACC the last couple of years for Melissa Evans.
And Evans just continues to impress. She just gets the job done. We'll see her serve Awokeniran again, putting pressure on the service reception of Duke.
Second time Duke has made that play successfully. This time it's Schwantz after Fleming did it a moment ago. And Duke is the first to 20 points here in set 1.
Smart play by Schwantz, and in fact, Ryan, you mentioned it earlier, before it was the NC State errors that was creating this lead. Now the lead is really because of Duke's success on the floor, not so much NC State's errors.
Nice dig by Fleming there to keep that one alive, but the Wolfpack in system. Parchment off of Awokeniran.
Nice swing from Parchment, and a good start for Parchment. Already, I believe, 2 kills here, maybe 3 kills for Parchment. And no errors for her, so she had a rough start in the match Wednesday. Certainly a great start for Parchment today.
You said it, 3 kills already here today. She had 3 in the entire match the other day, so already matching that output here with at least 5 points to play in set 1.
And you like to see that mentality. She turned the corner and responded after a rough opening match.
Awokeniran's been busy on the serve receive. Clearly a target of the Wolfpack, was able to come up with a good first contact for her team that time, and the Blue Devils are 4 points away.
Fantastic pass from Awokeniran, and she is definitely going to see a lot of touches, whether it's the defense, whether it's the service reception. On offense, she is the keystone to the Duke play.
Busy evening for Cooper already. Couple of kills and 3 blocks. Springate back to serve.
Nice to see Cooper coming back around. As Cooper's rhythm improves, so too does the team. And a huge block there by both Cooper and number 7, Gracie Johnson. Monster block there. They are way over the net, elbows over the net. It's hard to get past a block like that.
McDaniel was forced to retrieve that errant first pass, and it really helped the Blue Devils defensively. Nice job there by Schalk to find the floor.
Very smart play by Schalk. Not many players run the slide and are willing to tip. They almost always want to take the big swing. She smartly tipped back into the middle of the court. Nice point by Schalk.
The freshman getting the start. There's a Wilkenieren again. Springate over in 2. Schwantz tries to dunk it down with 2 hands, and eventually the Blue Devils get the point. You can see, though, how different that play is over in 2 from Springate than it is with Nazer.
Absolutely, and with Springate, that ball cannot be above the plane of the net when she sends it over because she's in the back row. That would be considered an illegal back row attack, but she didn't. She does a little tap jump, just enough to make it look like she's setting, and then the dunk.
There's the block again for the Blue Devils. Evans didn't quite have the footwork, and a slew of set points for Duke.
Yeah, and most of Duke's points here, or most of the errors by NC State, are really the root of passes that are less than perfect. When NC State's out of system, they're really struggling against the big Duke block.
Evans from the back row. Springate, Cole. Cooper sends it over. Big swing that time from McDaniel, and that'll do it in set 1, 25-16. An impressive performance for the Blue Devils out of the gate. A 3-2 match the other day. Blue Devils 1 set to the good here on ACC Network Extra.
Jacob.
11 kills the other day for Cooper. There's Chukwu, and that one lands on NC State's side of the net. 3-0 for the Blue Devils. So after a quick first set and a relatively comprehensive set for Duke, another good start here in set number 2.
NC State's in the same hole they were in set 1. In set 1, they were down 3-0 as well. Credit to Duke for putting the pressure on early in each one of these sets with a 3-1 lead now as
McDaniel.
Sydney, as McDaniel goes back to serve.
The service error from Schwantz. The lefty sends it over. Boy, wherever Adia Wilkenieren is on the floor, NC State is targeting her. A nice dig there from McDaniel. Here is Evans, big lefty swing. Nicely done by Springate just to keep it alive, but the Wolfpack will have a free ball to deal with.
And they're really testing Owen Knierin. But one of the problems that could cause is if Owen Knierin gets in rhythm and starts to really enjoy those touches, a lot of athletes can thrive in that situation of just seeing the ball on every play.
Point to the Blue Devils on that extended rally. Pretty good defense on both sides that time.
Yep, and just an illegal block, illegal back row attack from McDaniel. Kind of a unique call there, but it's the right call. Now this is a key rotation here. They're going to go to Melissa Evans more than likely if they're in system. You'll see Evans on the left side with the lefty swing.
Frazier handles that tough serve from Cole pretty well, and the Blue Devils are able to, the Wolfpack able to score there.
Yep, and Evans, sure enough, she gets the ball. It wasn't the best set in the world, but she finds a way to get it done. And good on NC State for getting out of that rotation.
See that serve just dip right in front of Kaylee Frazier.
Excellent floating serve here. And the Duke gym, the way the air conditioning and everything is, the ball will move quite a bit in this gym.
Fleming on the attack. Nicely done by Wander. And then a collision there. Evans and McDaniel not on the same page.
And that's a tough one when two people get crossed up. And Evans was trying to get around McDaniel. McDaniel wasn't quite sure where to go. And the problem is just simply traffic there.
You know, I'm honestly surprised stuff like that doesn't happen more often just because of the number of people on the court and the fairly condensed space, and there's so much movement on every play. Fleming once again at the net.
And it's a block party. It continues to be a block party for Duke, so they're going to pick up right where they left off, and they're really honing in on Melissa Evans. And, unfortunately, if NC State can't get into their ball control game, then it's going to be a lot easier for Duke to focus in on the top attacker in Evans.
Johnson, and you wonder if Wander was trying to get out of the way but just couldn't figure out how. I think she realized it was going long but couldn't move her body in time.
Yep, and that's a hard one. That was going right at her middle. She doesn't know whether or not to move to her left or right to make the pass or even just to get out of the way completely.
Another timeout for Coach Slave. It's 7-2 for the Blue Devils. Duke hitting almost 400 in this one, just 3 errors thus far. Great start for Jolene Nagel's club. Gracie Johnson set to serve for the Blue Devils, but first a quick look at the preseason standings in the ACC. There you see Duke and NC State at 10 and 11. Pretty unique though, Paul. These teams will not decide an ACC champion this fall. Some of the other Olympic sports are electing to do that, but volleyball saying we're going to let's wait till spring to decide things, and still a lot to be determined about how that's going to happen.
Absolutely. The schedule has not been set for this spring, but what has been determined is that instead of a 64-team tournament, there will be a 48-team tournament in the spring, so less at-large teams for the NCAA Division I Volleyball Championship at the end of April.
A point for the Wolfpack straight out of the timeout called by Coach Slabe. Chuka Jakwu, Nazer forced to track it down. A free ball for the Wolfpack. Parchment overpowers the block.
Another big swing by Parchment. I think the block almost over-blocked. They were so high, Parchment snuck it in underneath them in some ways.
So Nazer trying to angle that one back into the court. Back-to-back points for NC State out of the timeout. Just the response that Coach Slabe was hoping for, I would imagine.
Absolutely, and Evans needs help if they're going to get back in this set and in this match.
There's Owen Knierin.
Parchment can do that. Owen Knierin, again, just like you were setting up there, Ryan, she is the key to the Duke offense.
2 kills now in this match for Owen Knierin. She had 8 the other day. Also had 8 digs and half a dozen blocks, so was able to contribute in the box score even though she didn't necessarily find the rhythm on the attack. But the Blue Devils will want to see her become a consistent force offensively, certainly.
Absolutely.
She's able to do that.
Absolutely, and she's a leader too, so if she's having a rough game, she can lead in other ways with her voice and with her attitude and energy.
There's an ace for Evans, a miscommunication between Owen Knierin and Johnson. And this is the best that NC State has looked thus far in the match.
And they're going to continue to target Owen Knierin, and you can see that I don't think that that's going to change even on this serve.
Across to Schwantz.
Schwantz with a nice cross body to take that ball down the line. She was showing angle, showing deep angle, and she takes that swing right across her body, brings that ball down the line, and off the block for a kill.
Schwantz a kill away from a double-double the other day. 16 digs against the Wolfpack as Frankie Harrison checks in. The graduate student played beach volleyball at South Carolina before arriving in Durham.
And that kind of strategic sub means that coach is trying for a different defensive look. A player who is a veteran of the sand is generally a better defender than your classic indoor player.
9-7 is the score here in the second set.
Great line shot by Parchment. And that replay really demonstrates her vertical leap. She's way up in the air with great capability to rip that ball down the line.
Schwantz. Now Cooper, dug out by Parchment. Evans chases it down and sends it over. Cole to Schwantz, looking for the angle, couldn't find it, and the Wolfpack back within 1 after a slow start here in the second.
And NC State seems to be waking up a little bit. You can see that energy picking up. You can see it's hard to see confidence per se, but you can see with their actions that they're moving more confidently, and they have a plan.
Parchment to serve. Schwantz down on one knee. Takes a couple of steps. Good block, but the Blue Devils able to recover. Schwantz once again. Frazier is there. Looking to go over in 2 was McDaniel, but she was stuffed. Here is Myers, whose name we haven't called in a while, and then a wayward attack from her once again.
And I think Myers is trying to do a little bit too much. She's trying to go with that hard angle. Even though she was already inside with her set, she should have gone a little bit deeper into the court. And we got our center switch for Duke. So now on the floor in the back row is Alex Springate, so that allows Duke to have 3 attackers instead of 2.
Another service error, this one off the hand of Springate, her second of the match. Blue Devils have 4 so far. Schalk and the Wolfpack back within 1.
And we get the first entry of Mamache Nwake coming into the play for the NC State Wolfpack.
Schwantz touches that one over perfectly. She's done that a few times now.
She does a great job of mixing her swings. We've seen hard line, hard angle, and a couple of tips from Schwantz already, and all of those were scoring plays. So Schwantz really lighting it up right now. She's got 5 kills on the day.
The serve from Schwantz finds Myers. From the back row, Evans, plenty of open space there.
And Evans again coming out of the middle back, more of a pipe set, so it's not a super high set. It's a ball that gets Evans the chance to run with a little bit of rhythm, and she splits 3 blockers to put that ball on the floor.
Evans took 56 swings the other day. She's taken 17 thus far. Parchment digs that one out. Here's Evans once again. It was deflected, and so the point belongs to NC State. Tied at 11 here in the second.
And Evans will be well on her way to that 50-plus attempt if this match goes 4.
McDaniel the serve. Springate sends it out wide for Cooper. Frazier and Parchment.
Great connection all around there. Perfect pass from Owen Knierin. Great set from Springate, and then the finish.
Cooper able to use that wingspan and just reach out so wide.
She's so long.
Evans again. Johnson does nicely. Saw it right off the hand that it was going to be wide and got out of the way. The Blue Devils restore their lead to 2 here, 13-11.
And this is that key rotation with Evans in service reception. She's in the left front right now, so she's a lefty hitting on the left side. And this is a hard one for them to get out of, especially with Cole, the top-notch server, coming at them for Duke.
Johnson, Frazier digs it out, trying to chase it down.
Nice touch by Frazier, but a little bit too much power offensively on that attack.
The lead is 3 now.
Great swing by Gracie Johnson.
Blue Devils on a mini run. It looks like that'll be another timeout for Coach Slabe, noticing perhaps a change in momentum here. The Wolfpack had gotten it back tied, 3 straight for the Blue Devils.
The Wolfpack are having a much better set this time around. Now the score is still Duke +3, but it's a much higher level of play for NC State. I think the key though, and it's going to take a lot of work to overcome that streak. These players don't know that streak. These players only know that for the last 3 or 2 or 1 year that they have not won here. So for as much as that's a cool statistic for us, those athletes don't really pay too much attention.
Knierin still not quite able to find the range here this evening. Long on that attack, and it's back to a 1-point set here.
And that's kind of the struggle that Duke had with Owen Knierin on Wednesday, was just getting Owen Knierin in rhythm.
Nicely done by McDaniel to save that one, but another opportunity for Duke. Here's Knierin again. Better swing that time.
Nice swing by Owen Knierin, and got to give a ton of credit to Springate. She went with more of a gap set, which allowed Owen Knierin to go in between the middle blocker, Nwake, and the right side blocker.
Johnson to serve. McDaniel able to track it down. The Duke block did well to defuse the bomb of Parchment. Now the Wolfpack. Parchment again tees things up. Nazer goes across to Knierin, had to adjust her steps just a bit. Frazier sends it out wide to Evans. Johnson is there. Knierin on the attack. Not quite in rhythm, you could tell. There's Parchment, sends it over weakly. Nazer tries it in 2. Frazier is there. McDaniel sets it over, perhaps the longest rally of the match. Fleming trying to end it, can't. McDaniel is there. Frazier to Evans, big lefty swing. Johnson, Nazer, by far now the longest rally. Schwantz sends it over, 15-13. Big time momentum point goes to NC State.
Wow, what a rally and some good swings there. Both teams were just a tad out of system, so you saw some good block touches, some great defense, and then the finish by Nwoke.
You don't see very many points last that long in this sport. 15-14 now the score.
You don't, and that's a team attack percentage killer when both teams are just taking swing after swing on a long rally that lasts 30, 35 seconds long. But what a great run, and that could be a momentum changer, as you mentioned, for NC State.
I always feel like the longer a point goes, the more weight it starts to carry, and that one seemed to last forever.
It does. They feel more meaningful, even though they're only valued one each. But absolutely, NC State pretty pumped to have that one.
Here's Evans now. Schwantz at the last second had to get that one again. Here is Evans, full swing that time, and it's in. We are tied at 15.
Very hard cut shot from Melissa Evans. She has not taken that shot very often yet this match, so to see her cut, nice shot by her, and that view clearly is with that ball in.
Hannah Reed back to serve. Mother played volleyball for NC State. Fleming, not quite in rhythm that time. We've split the first 30 points here in the second set after the Blue Devils won set one, 25-16. And the Wolfpack lead for the first time here in set number 2.
And Schock and Evans with a huge block there. That ball went straight down. You can tell Schock is pumped. She jumps about as high after the block when she gets it as she did when she blocked.
Into the net that time. It's such a momentum killer, handing that free point to the Blue Devils. 16 apiece now.
And you do have to serve aggressively if you're going to win this game. But of course, now that NC State is right back in this set, the errors seem to be magnified.
Awokeniran. Blue Devils given the point. McDaniel thought that Fleming was over the net. Coach Slabe arguing the same thing with the official.
Yep, they're arguing interference, but McDaniel, I think McDaniel did in fact reach over as she was trying to make that play.
Good first pass from Frazier. Across it goes to Parchment. Set maybe a little tight to the net. Across from Nazer to Schwantz. Collision between two defenders, and the Wolfpack just send it over. Nazer set it behind Fleming just a little bit. It's into the net. Wolfpack able to keep it alive, but only momentarily.
And kind of a bummer there. NC State made the saves, but a little micro net touch by Melissa Evans results in a point for Duke. The momentum was starting to turn in NC State's favor, but now 2 quick points for Duke, and they're right back, opening up that lead again.
Evans off the block, restores order for the Wolfpack. NC State within 1. As Harrison checks back in again.
And Coach Nagel's going to make this substitution before Evans can target Awokeniran. Instead, Frankie Harrison is in her place.
We'll see where Evans elects to go now. It's Harrison off the bench. And not a great pass from her.
Nice serve by Evans. She brought that in low and flat is the rule on float serves. Lower and flatter you can bring them causes problems for the service reception. No matter how good a passer you are, that's a hard one to pass.
Evans already at 11 kills, a couple of aces in this one. Dips in front of Harrison, who that time handles it pretty well, and the Blue Devils are able to score.
Much better pass from Harrison, and the result is transition offense for Duke. And Duke makes no mistake with the first ball side out on that.
Might have been a tougher serve that time, and Harrison handled it better.
Yep, Harrison did a nice job getting down, collapsing, almost a collapse pass of sorts to make the play.
Blue Devils given the point on the double contact from McDaniel, and it's 20-18. Getting down toward the business end of this second set.
And I think Duke's going to target Wander again. Wander and Parchment out there on the floor. We'll have to see how the pass goes.
Across it goes to Parchment. Nazer in the middle to Cooper. Evans sends it over. Nice job by Evans to come up with something. And that should have just really been an easy overball, and was able to give the Duke defense something to think about, and eventually.
Absolutely, a real senior move as to where to put that ball over. Very strategic, very smart, and you would expect no less from the senior, Melissa Evans.
I hesitated for a second because the scores are a little bit different here. Wolfpack got the point on that one.
And I think we do have 2019.
Yeah, I believe it's 20-19, the video board in Cameron Indoor Stadium with an errant score. There we go. That's why for a second I thought maybe there was a call on the floor that had given the point to Duke, and regardless, there we go, back to a 1-point set.
Yeah, I think just a mere oversight from the scorer down on the floor, no biggie there.
So Parchment puts it in play. Another low line drive serve. You can tell Harrison was a little frustrated with herself. Duke able to keep it alive, though. The righty swing comes from Lydia Adam out of Greece. First time we've called her name today. Blue Devils back in front by 2.
And NC State's trying to do whatever they can to shake things up. Kind of a rough start for Hartley Myers, so that's why we see Lydia Adam out there.
Adam the other day, 1 kill, 1 error on 5 attacks, appeared in 2 sets. Here she comes on in set number 2. They'll go to Evans out of the back row. Cole is there. Here's Peyton Schwantz. Parchment digs it out. Adam off the deflection. Springate sends it over. McDaniel sends it back.
Very smart play by McDaniel. That ball was going tight, but instead of going straight over the net, she angles it toward the right back sideline and puts that ball down on the floor.
Machi Woke back in, sat out last season, the redshirt senior from Grand Prairie, Texas. Sister Uchenna Woke plays women's basketball here at Duke. 21-20 the score. Who will make the plays down the stretch? Big swing set here. Could be tied at 1, could be 2-0 Duke. It's into the net and down to the floor, and it's 21 apiece.
And Schock with a great serve there. Again, low and flat, and here's the timeout from Duke. Very smart timeout. They're going to try to break that rhythm up, and Duke's going to see if they can't get that side out here to get the rhythm back. The UNC might maybe be 3.5.
So back to the floor we go, 21 all. There's Coach Jolene Nagel. 440 wins with the Blue Devils, 643 overall in her career. 4-time ACC Coach of the Year, and a 4-time ACC titleist. Springate, Cooper out wide. Controlled well by the Wolfpack. Here's Evans. There's Springate with a nice dig. Cole sets it up for Schwantz, deflected high in the air. Woke is there. Adam sends it over into the block. Adam one more time. Now Springate. Cole looking for Schwantz, who tips it over. 3 different Wolfpack student athletes converge, but it's a point for the Blue Devils.
And Schwantz with another tip, and she's been really smart. She waits until the NC State defense is on its heels, and then she goes ahead and tips to the floor.
7 kills to just 1 error for Schwantz in this match, compared to 9 kills and 5 errors the other day, hitting a robust 353 in this one. And she's gone to that tip play. That has to be at least 3 or 4 times we've seen that.
Yeah, I tally 2 or 3, along with a couple of big line swings and 1 cut shot, but she's really mixing in that tip. It's apparent, though, that NC State is playing a very, very deep defense against her. So as long as Schwantz can see that, she's going to continue to tip. Hey, the points all count the same, whether they have big power or kind of light as a feather tips.
That's one of your classic take with the defense.
Ball hits the net, and that's really what shook the net, and not the net touch of the Duke block.
Fabulous job by our production crew couldn't ask for a better angle on that. Super slow motion. How about the synchronicity with the block for the Blue Devils? That was just a fantastic shot. You get to see quite a bit there. Great job by our folks. And it's 22-21 Blue Devils.
Absolutely great view, and it's a view of textbook blocking by Duke that we've been talking about all match.
Evans from the back, Springate. Cole giving it a chase. Great effort from her. Ultimately, though, 22-22. 29 attacks now for Evans, a dozen kills.
And that's an advantageous situation for NC State. Melissa Evans now moves to the front row, and that's where she's the greatest threat and easily the top attacker for the Wolfpack.
McDaniel to serve. Wokeniran on serve receive. Here's Johnson. Schwantz is there. Springate back to Johnson, who touches it over. Adam chases it down.
Nice.
McDaniel goes to Evans. Cole, fantastic dig to keep the point alive. Johnson sends it over. McDaniel regroups. It's Evans once again. Was it Schwantz? Wokeniran taps it. Adam is there. Frazier, Woke, everybody involved, in the Blue Devils somehow get point number 23.
Great play by both sides, and in fact, Lydia Adam key there. Finally, NC State found a way to pick up the tip, but that rally kept going back and forth, and all credit to both squads on that one. Some good scrambling on both sides at the net while staying out of the net to keep the rally alive.
I thought it was interesting when Schwantz was positioned in the middle of the floor to get that ball after it hit off the block. So many times when it deflects that far, it just kind of lands in that Bermuda Triangle, well positioned, able to keep that point alive.
Yep, very smart block coverage behind the offensive attack of Duke.
Johnson, Blue Devils 2 points away. Evans has that one handled relatively easily. Wokeniran goes to the tip. Again, successful for Duke.
And if the tip works, you use it. It's a good tip by the Blue Devils. Very, very smart. Left and right backs for the Wolfpack have been staying very, very deep, so they're not able to pick up that tip.
Set points for Duke. And perhaps their best server back to the line in Mackenzie Cole. Adam handles it. McDaniel goes to Woke, and the Blue Devils will win the set. They'll call a double contact on Kristen McDaniel, and that is how the second set will end.
And that's a heartbreaker to finish on a double contact. NC State was playing better, but Duke just kept that pressure on, whether it's the block, whether it was the attack, and the tip. Nice job by Duke, and Duke has the lead 2-0 here as we lead into set 3. Match, no errors in the Wednesday match either. She's now got 10 kills with no errors over the last 2 days of play. So Lizzie Fleming really lighting it up out on the floor.
Off we go in set 3. Evans trying to give Duke a bit of its own medicine, going short. Woke off the block, and the Wolfpack enjoys the 1-0 lead.
I think this might be the first lead for, NC State may have had a single point lead in set 2, but otherwise, NC State finally wards off the 3-0 leads that Duke had in sets 1 and 2.
Springate. Johnson in rhythm there with some velocity, ties it at 1. Of course, the Blue Devils can see the finish line, first to 25, win by 2, best 3 of 5 sets.
And it's such a mental game, you know, when Duke is up and any team is up 2-0, as a coach, you beg your team not to relax, but to step on the gas, in part because NC State is going to try to ward itself off with a victory in set 3.
You talked about how Evans might get to that 50 attack plateau if this goes 4. She might not need 4 sets. She's already at 36 here in this one.
Yep, and she's got the shoulder to do it. You know, she had some time out last season because of injury, but so far she's looking pretty fresh this season here so far.
Had double-digit kills in 23 of the 26 matches she played last year, including 13 straight. 5 matches with 20 plus. Awokeniran sends that one over and down.
Nice job by Awokeniran to be ready for that second contact after the block from Parchment.
So here is Cole, who ended set 2 at the service line.
And her serve is just causing problems for NC State. That ball is coming low and flat. I hate to continue to overstate just what a great serve this is.
There's the broadcast jinx. You haven't gotten Fleming yet, but you got Cole that time.
That's right. Guilty is charged. But admittedly, I know Duke will take the pressure that Cole is putting on NC State for the one service error.
Here is Reed again, Winston-Salem native. Springgate into a deep crouch to try to handle that one. Johnson and Parchment collided. And the point belongs to NC State. Good to see, most of all, that both players were okay.
Yeah, it looks like Johnson came down on the foot of Parchment. Oh no, she did it on her own. She looks like she sprained her left ankle just a little bit, but it looks like she's gonna walk it off. And she's the one cleaning the floor, so she must be doing all right over there. What a tough kid, and you could see that sprain. You could see her turn that ankle over, so nice job on her to get back to it. Coach is gonna quickly check and make sure that she's all right. And of course, Johnson's not coming off the floor anytime soon.
4-2. Awokeniran, Springgate. That looked like a double contact. And it was. 5-2 Wolfpack. First time that they've really been able to extend a lead in this match. In fact, I think it's the first time they've had a lead of more than one at any point.
Absolutely, and if not for the double contact, it was a good combination play by Duke, but very much an unforced error on the hands of Springgate. Normally sure-handed.
Johnson from the outside. Parchment into the block. Parchment one more time, deflected once again. It's over in 1. NC State collects itself. Parchment goes where Springgate can find it. Johnson almost off of 2 feet, really. And it belongs to Duke. (5-3) Wolfpack here in the early stages of set 3. The last 4 matches these teams have played have gone to 5 sets, including just the other day. But the Blue Devils looking for a 3-set sweep. NC State, of course, other ideas. How about that swing from Parchment? Maybe the best of the evening for either team.
And Parchment with that live arm swing. And again, when NC State's in system, that creates a little bit of a gap in this block. And you can see it's just enough for her to sneak it in between the two, and she makes no mistake.
Evans to serve. 6-3 for the Wolfpack. Nazer across to Awokeniran, off of the block, and the Blue Devils are back within 2.
Smart play by Awokeniran. Awokeniran, instead of going with the bombs away, 100% swing, she takes a little bit off of it, controls it, and tools the block of McDaniel.
296 kills a year ago. That one dips right in front of Wander, the ace for Awokeniran. So 2 straight points for Addie Awokeniran, and the Blue Devils are back to within 6-5.
Nice serve by Awokeniran. She's coming on this serve very, very aggressively with that running jump float.
Just a bit long that time as Frazier followed it. Nicely done that time by the NC State libero. 7-5 as Adam checks back in. 6'1" sophomore.
And Lydia Adams really in there for a surer level of defense. Offensively, she may not have as big a swing as Hartley Myers did, but Hartley Myers had a kind of a rough start to this match. So now we're seeing a little bit more of Lydia Adams instead of Hartley Myers.
A couple of times now, McDaniels found herself at a mismatch at the net. Cooper, Fleming, not a whole lot for her to do there, and a nice job by Fleming to do what she's supposed to do in that situation.
Absolutely, and for Fleming not to get lax just because she's up against a smaller block, that's good on her to make the smart move.
Trying to keep it alive with the foot was Schalk, but the Blue Devils have come back to tie it at 7 here.
NC State's got to be careful. Now that Duke's on their run, NC State needs to squash this in a hurry, or else you'll see Duke back out to that 2-3 point lead.
Fleming dips that one in the back corner for the ace.
Nice serve by Fleming. She hit that back one single square foot of the court. Nice job by her on that serve.
5th ace of the match for the Blue Devils, who now lead for the first time in this set. Looking for Adam, had to lean way back to get that one. Awokaniran does well to keep it off the floor. Schwantz goes with the finesse one more time, but Evans is there. Parchment from the back row. Nazer all the way across to Schwantz. Full swing that time, and she finds the court.
Nice job by Schwantz. So the off-speed didn't work for her. It had been working most of the match. She sees that that defense has changed just a little bit to pick that up, so she goes bombs away on that hard cut in between the left back and left front defenders.
Schwantz showing the versatility there, has everything in the toolbox. Fleming, as Frazier watches it go out that time.
I still like the aggressive serving of Duke. If NC State is struggling on their pass, then Duke really should come at them hard and try to create points and create pressure with that serve.
A lot of feast or famine for the Blue Devils today on the serve. 5 aces, 8 service errors, 13 points decided without any rally, really.
And sometimes that's the result of that aggressive serving, is that you do surrender a few points on service errors, but the pressure that you gain from your aces and from your strong serves that are passed far outweigh a few of those points.
Duke has scratched and clawed its way back to a lead here in the 3rd set. Woke, the block back into the middle of the floor, and that's where you saw that defense come back into play, trying to keep it alive after the block. Instead, another point for the Blue Devils. Got to think a timeout is coming here for Coach Slabe, and it is. 11-8 Duke here in set number 3. Blue Devils looking for the sweep in Cameron Indoor Stadium. The Blue Devils with a point on the double contact. Back-to-back double contacts.
Not the prettiest situation there, but NC State's trying to create offensive opportunities, so when a non-setter is setting, there's always a little bit of a cringe there to see if it's going to be legal or not.
Evans in rhythm, able to finish.
Fantastic back set from McDaniel to get that ball to Evans, and not the highest set in the world, so it takes some practice to get that tempo right, and they surely did on that one.
Evans now closing in on 1,000 kills for her career. May have to take a 4th and perhaps 5th set to get there today, but she'll get there this season. Cooper out wide. Wolfpack and Evans. Now Johnson goes cross court once again.
Nice hard cut from Johnson, and the block is clearly for NC State setting up line. They're allowing Duke to take that hard cut. Nice cut to finish that off by Johnson. And here comes the lethal serve of Cole.
Okay, just misses with that one.
Wow, so close, and that's a point she'd like to have back. She knows she hit the right area, she had the right idea, and a nice pass from Wander to head off to start off that point.
Timeout from Coach Slabe. Blue Devils lead by 4. Perhaps not wanting this one to get any farther away than it already has here in set number 3. Blue Devils again up 2 sets to none.
And the timeout is definitely to try to slow the serve run of Cole. I can't say enough about her serve, and her play in the back row is definitely top notch.
Schwantz 8 kills, Awoken 7, Johnson 6, Cooper 5. Good balance for the Blue Devils across the board here today.
Yep, and that's a credit to the setters. Both Springate and Nazer really spreading the ball around.
Speaking of Awoken, not only those 7 kills to just 3 errors, a couple of aces, 8 digs, has a block as well. Leads Duke with 9.5 points. She and Gracie Johnson, she's really been all over the box score and has held her own when clearly she's been the target of the Wolfpack serve.
And that's really what speaks to Owen Knierin. Everybody in the gym knows that she's going to see those balls, she's going to see those sets, and after a rough outing on Wednesday, as you can see tonight, she's really righted her own ship. Only 3 errors, hitting 211, obviously a flip of nearly 300 hitting percentage points from the Wednesday tilt.
It's a 4-point lead for Duke. A great look there at the contrast. Again, you wonder how much of that was just not seeing real competition for nearly a calendar year. Woken clearly has it dialed in a little bit better here this evening, although I think even she would admit there's another level for her to get to.
Oh, absolutely. She knows there's another way, another level, and for all of these players, they're used to having had 4, 6, even 8 matches under their belt before late September, but instead, this is opening weekend, so some of that rust that you would have seen over Labor Day weekend is the rust that you're seeing right now at the end of September in the opening matches.
Johnson perhaps trying to do too much with that one there as the Wolfpack close back within 3. Yeah, a lot of, almost every year you'd have a couple of tournaments under your belt, some of them perhaps against some competition that you, at least on paper, can match up really well against, get some confidence going here. It's just right into the heart of the conference schedule. That's all there is this year, is a conference schedule.
Yeah, but a team like Duke and a team like NC State, they're scheduling tournaments with 3 matches in a weekend where maybe one is a Power 5 opponent and the other 2 might be mid-majors where they can really maybe more hone their game and kind of sharpen their game in preparation for conference.
Nice here from the Wolfpack, back-to-back points to close within 2. Awoken out wide. Reed is there. Can the Wolfpack close within 1? Fleming and Johnson say no.
Huge blocks from Fleming and Johnson. They closed that block. Parchment took her first big swing, and that's actually her first error of the match. And that's at an unfortunate time. NC State's really had some momentum going here.
Instead of a 1-point lead, it's now back to 3. And Johnson set to serve. She's got 4 blocks to go along with 6 kills and 9 digs. Another service error, though, for the Blue Devils. If you're going to split some hairs here, that is definitely an area they want to clean up. Just too many free points for the Wolfpack. That makes 9 here this evening.
Yep, and a ball like that, they're targeting Wander or trying to split Wander and Kaylee Frazier, but maybe trying a little too hard. That ball sailed long.
Nice job by Fleming to go with the tip once again.
And Duke seems to be relying on that tip as a way to get back to offensive strength. Instead of relying on a big swing, they go with the tip, and the defense for NC State continues to stay deep.
Good serve from Awoken. Free ball for the Blue Devils. Cole, Nazer to Schwantz. Frazier is there, over and 2 from McDaniel. Nazer goes the short way to Fleming, who tries to play it over the top of Frazier. Nice little change up there from Fleming. Nazer goes to Fleming once more. Frazier is there. Evans with the lefty swing. Johnson. Now Schwantz showing some power.
And on that long rally, both teams were making digs, but the difference really was Duke was making perfect digs that could set all 3 options. NC State was making digs that just allowed them to keep the ball in play. And Schock was high on that block, but she still gets tooled, and that ball sails into that antenna.
Good first contact that time by Frazier, and you see it makes all the difference in the world.
Nice swing by Parchment. I would hesitate to say that NC State's running out of time, but what they need to do is generate some momentum, and that would be key. They had it early in this set. They did lose it back, and maybe with Lydia Adam entering the game, maybe they can regain a little bit of that momentum coming off of the Parchment kill.
Savannah Bryant on for the Wolfpack. Schwantz, full swing. That one floats off the arms of Bryant, and it's 18-14.
A very composed swing from Schwantz. She got that just around the blocking hand of Schock and still keeps that ball in play.
Fleming to serve. Schwantz, big swing. Parchment got a piece of it. Frazier allows Evans to send it over. Cooper into the block. Good effort there by the Wolfpack just to keep that rally alive. You never know what's going to happen. And they're able to cut the deficit to 3.
Yep, and nice block from Lydia Adam and Schock there. And they were disciplined. They didn't go all the way out to the pin. Instead, they stayed steady, kept an eye on where the attacker was going, squared up to her and got the stuff.
Schwantz with the pass and then the attack. Parchment, there's Adam, well long.
Kind of a missed opportunity for NC State. That ball sailing way long. Coach Slabe would really like to see Lydia Adam at least keep that ball in play and live to fight through that rally a little longer.
Springate to serve. Some good passing here from Frazier on serve receive here recently. That's maybe worth a challenge if you're Coach Slabe, particularly at this juncture. That was very close. He will challenge. Why not? 20-15 in the third set with your team down 0-2. Can't take it with you.
And it is a critical point, and they're all critical here. When you're down 2-0, if it's close like this, at the very least, it's a mini timeout, and NC State would collect itself. But boy, even from up here at the Crow's Nest, it sure looked like a point for them.
Yeah, instead of a 3-point deficit, it's a full handful now for the Wolfpack. Evans out of the back row. Cole is there. Springate all the way across to Schwantz, who's been busy in the middle and latter stages of this one. Really become the primary target for the Blue Devils, really going through her offensively.
Absolutely, and she's really come through. I mean, obviously, she's taken a ton of big swings. She's the only player in double digits for kills for Duke, so they're going to lean on her. They're leaning on that hot hand.
Hitting .321 from the outside, too, is impressive. Here's McDaniel on the serve.
Nice short serve causing problems for Duke.
High off the block. Adam forced to lean back on that one, still managed to thread it through the block.
But now I like that play. Instead of trying to do too much and instead of trying to hit too hard like she did a little earlier with an attacking error, instead she goes off speed. She knows she's out of balance. She finds a way to get that ball over. And you had mentioned it earlier, Ryan. If you keep it in play, sometimes good things happen just by keeping it going and not stubbing your own toe.
Well, and Springate forced to pass that ball, which means somebody else had to set it. Really effective serve, you called it, Paul, and McDaniel will try to do the same here as the Wolfpack back within 3. Good pass from Awokeniran. Cooper slides outside, dug out by McDaniel nicely. That gives Adam a chance. It's off of the net cord. Johnson deflects twice. McDaniel with a great effort. But just not enough time to get under that one. Blue Devils up by 4 and within 4 of claiming victory here in Cameron.
And Duke surely has regained the momentum, and you can see they're just swinging away now. They've mixed in the tips nicely, and they have an all-around offensive game right now that's really working wonders against NC State.
The tip from Evans, chased down by Cole. Schwantz from the back row. Evans won't be able to
be the one to attack this time. Here she is, though. Springate sends it into the back corner. McDaniels going the short way to Chukwujekwu. Have not called her name much at all here today, but able to come up with the goods here in the latter stages of set 3.
And NC State needed a spark, and Chukwujekwu was there for it. And you can see when she's in rhythm, that was a pretty big and solid swing.
Just the 6th attack for Chukwujekwu here today.
Kind of a surprise. I really thought we'd hear her name called a little bit more. And but you also got to give some credit to Kaylee Frazier for keeping that rally alive. The libero on that one did a nice job to make a save that allowed for a set that Chukwujekwu could put down.
Wolfpack not going away here in set 3, back to within 2. Good pass from Awokeniran to Cooper in the middle. Blue Devils fully in system off of the nice first contact from Awokeniran.
Great pass from Awokeniran and a great finish there in the middle. And you're going to see this. They are completely in rhythm on that swing. Big bomb from Cooper.
So hard to defend that middle attack in system like that.
And especially as long as Cooper is, if that set can be up at the peak of her reach, boy, that's going to be a tough one for anybody to defend in the ACC.
Awokeniran misfires on that one. 22-20 now.
And NC State is hanging in there.
On comes Reed to serve.
Springgate's working really hard to get the communication going on the Duke side so that they know what they're running off of this pass.
Another pretty good pass there from Awokeniran. Nice block from the Wolfpack. In the middle towards Schalk. Now Cole sends it to Awokeniran. Evans, a full swing. Springate is there. Now Cole sets up Johnson, tries to go with the finesse play. Now Awokeniran from the outside. Wander is there. Evans tries to go cross court on the tip. Schwantz chases it down, and the Wolfpack are back within 1.
And that's Evans just trying to find a way. She was a little out of rhythm. Set might have been a little inside, so she goes ahead with a push to the hard opposite sideline. Duke was...
Oh! Couldn't corral it.
And Cole was underneath the net. She made a great play to go underneath. And the rule there is technically if there is risk of interference or if there would be interference, then they're going to call her under, and that's just what happened. And now we're deadlocked at 22.
This looked like it was going to be 3-0 for the Blue Devils, up 4, maybe even 5 in the latter stages. Instead, NC State playing like it did at the start of this set. Schwantz long on that attack, and suddenly the Wolfpack 2 points away from sending this to set 4. Another timeout for Coach Jolene Nagel. 2 in rapid succession, perhaps seeing this third set slip through their fingers, not wanting that to happen, of course. First to 25, win by 2. Both teams.
She's thrilled for the big swing, but she's actually motioning over to Schwantz to say, hey, are you all right? You know, hey, she just wants everybody to be in good shape here. But boy, that ball had so much heat on it, Schwantz couldn't do anything to defend herself.
Set points for NC State, and the service error by Reed.
And Reed smartly targeted Schwantz on that one, hoping that Schwantz might be just a tad rattled after taking the ball in the head off that power swing. But unfortunately, that ball sailed long. If NC State's going to win, they're going to have to do it off a serve receive right here.
Still a set point for the Wolfpack. Johnson to serve, of course, mission number 1 for Johnson. Put the ball in play.
Very good rotation for NC State. They've got Parchment, Evans, and Schock in the front row.
Here is Evans into the block and down to the floor. We are headed to a 4th set here in Cameron Indoor Stadium. The Wolfpack never say die. 25-23 here in the third, despite being down in the late stages. Melissa Evans and company live to fight another day. She's got 17 kills thus far on the evening. Back in a moment.
Blue Devils were up 20-15 in set 3, but a 10-3 run for the Wolfpack closes it out and forces a 4th set. There you take a look at the stats. Through 3, Blue Devils still with an advantage, particularly in hitting percentage, but that disparity was much greater headed into set number 3. Duke was hitting about 300 as a team through the first 2 sets, hit 085 in the third, 12 kills to 8 errors. More errors, Paul, in set 3 than they had in sets 1 and 2 combined.
Yep, a lot of that's NC State starting to frustrate Duke just a little bit with some block touches. And for the first time, NC State started to pick up that tip that Duke was relying on in sets 1 and 2.
Georgia Stavronidis on for the Blue Devils, making her first appearance in this match, albeit briefly, as Cole checks in.
I can't say enough about that 10-3 run for NC State. It was 20-15, and there was a play review that did not go their way, made it 20-15, and then that 10-3 run. NC State stepped on it and stayed with it.
Cooper sails that one long, and NC State, even when it seemed bleak, has stayed with the game plan, targeting Wokeneer and on serve receive. They've just slowly tried to grind away at her.
And some of that's a reflection on Coach Lucas Labe, and I talked with him very briefly today, and he did mention that they're just going to stay with it, and he's going to let players succeed and fail and learn as they go, and they're just going to stay steady. They're not going to try to switch strategies and change everything up and have the players lose rhythm.
1-all as Schwantz goes back to serve, 25-16. 25-22, the first 2 sets belonging to the Blue Devils. 25-23, NC State able to win set number 3. Evans, after all of that power, showcases her versatility. We talked about it with Peyton Schwantz. Melissa Evans, of course, one of the best in the ACC. She can do that as well.
Nice job by Evans. She shows the big attack, and she disguises it very well, and then she went with a little mini tip. And nice job by her, and she's swinging successfully from the front row. She's also had a couple of nice swings out of the back row, hitting the pipe set, or basically the middle back set, and getting those to go down for kills. So credit to Melissa Evans for her versatility.
3-1 Wolfpack. Strong start to set 4. Clearly now the momentum with NC State. It's incumbent on the Blue Devils now to try to answer here.
And Wander with a nice serve, and they just continue to target Owakaniran.
Springate and Cooper on different pages there. Another opportunity for the Wolfpack as Parchment sends that one into the block, and it's 4-1 Wolfpack here in the 4th.
Huge swing by Parchment, and when you swing hard, sometimes good things happen. She gets the tool off of the inside hand of Owakaniran, but it's enough to send that ball out of bounds for the point.
Just all around, Blue Devils perhaps lucky to have a second opportunity at this one after they weren't in any kind of rhythm the first time around. Springate out wide to Johnson. She buries that one. Has gone to the cut play a couple times and was able to find the angle there.
And you got to give credit to Duke. Both Johnson and Schwantz have gone with the cut, and those are hard cuts. Those are not off-speed swings, all right? So those are big power shots, and if Parchment's sucked in like that, that's leaving that sideline open for the swing that goes down.
4-2. Here's Parchment, full swing. Boy, when she connects well, it is a different type of power.
It is. She's got a fast arm, nice live arm. You know, there's a lot of knots. She's 5'10", not as tall. Maybe she doesn't jump quite as high, but she makes up for it with just exceptional decision making today, and also that live fast arm swing.
11 kills and 5 blocks the other day for Chukwujekwu, who sends that serve across. And that time it's Parchment meeting up with Stavronidis and Johnson.
And that's just a nice block by Duke. I think that set was maybe a little bit tight on the NC State side, and yeah, it would have taken Superman to get out of that phone booth.
5 blocks now for Johnson. Stavronidis getting credit for her first. McDaniel deflected as Schalk couldn't put it on the floor. Awokeniran hits it into McDaniel. Parchment again, floats that one just long.
I still like that idea by Parchment. There was some wide open space there. She'd been banging away, swinging hard. So to go a little bit off speed deep, the space was there. She just sailed it just a tad too deep.
Parchment, Cole answers the challenge. Awokeniran finds some space, and the Blue Devils have tied it at 5.
Nice swing by Awokeniran. She has that little bit of a kind of a hitch. It's a tricky swing to figure out, and then in the end she gets her elbow way up. Nice high reach over the block of Schalk.
One of the best looking swings for Awokeniran on the evening as Nazer sends it long. It's the 10th service error for the Blue Devils.
And those are just free points. I mean, I know you like the aggressive serving of Duke. It does put pressure on NC State, but sometimes the lost points can be critical.
Fleming, Cole is there. Awokeniran from basically a standstill, and maybe Adi Awokeniran has found the rhythm here in the 4th set.
Yeah, and the former junior national prospect, she really did a nice job going over and around Schalk, and it looks like Schalk and McDaniel were trying to block line on her instead of coming inside and recognizing where she was attacking from.
Evans sends it long, and the Blue Devils all of a sudden have taken the lead here in the 4th. This is how it was the other day, back and forth, nobody really able to get much breathing room. Duke, much like the other day, there was one set where there was really kind of a gap. That was set 3 in the first match between these two. It was set 1 today. For a 3-point difference in set 2. A 2-point margin in set 3. And this one has been a story of runs. Parchment blasts it past Cole to tie it at 7.
Nice job by Parchment. She changes it up. I'm just really impressed with how she's playing right now. She's making some changes to her swings. That one was more of a high angle. Nice shot by her, and that goes down for the kill.
Now Parchment to serve. Schwantz. Frazier is there. Adam off the hands of Nazer and then the head of Awokeniran to make it 8-7.
And nice positioning by Kaylee Frazier around her own teammate's block. It made it easier to handle the heat from Schwantz.
A service error off the hand of Parchment that time.
I think that one was just a missed contact by Parchment. It didn't even sound right. She kind of caught that ball not on the correct part of her hand, and that's just an unforced error.
Stavronidis, knuckle serve toward Adam and Frazier. Adam somehow earns the point for NC State there.
Smart play by Lydia Adam. Instead of going up hard, she was a little off balance, so she intentionally hits it off the block of Duke, and that's a nice point, a nice saving point for Lydia Adam and the Wolfpack.
Poor pass there. Fleming able to send it over for the Wolfpack a chance to extend the lead to 2. Instead now Nazer finds Schwantz into the block, kept alive nicely. Peyton Schwantz calls everybody off. Chukwujekwu. Schwantz off the deflection. Peyton Schwantz looked like there were 3 of her out there
during that point, and it's 9-9.
Yeah, she was all over the place out there. And Chukwujeku, not too bad play out there, but I think the rhythm is just not there between Chukwujeku and McDaniel.
You see Schwantz almost, her hand barely over the net that time. Just able to nudge that ball over. Evans from the back. Johnson. It's Adam and Chukwujeku with the answer.
Nice block by Chukwujeku, and Lydia Adams setting up the block over there on the left.
10-9 Wolfpack.
Watch this reach. They're way up there. Look at that. Nice, nice, clean block by both of those two.
Good pass that time from Wokenieran. Cooper just forced to punch it over. Evans off the block, and it's 11-9 NC State.
And I think there's a little bit of frustration on the Duke side. NC State is starting to touch most of Duke's attacks. They're not stuffing every one of them, but they're slowing them down enough to take Duke's confidence level down a little bit.
Nice job by Wokenieran there to handle that one off the net. Cooper upset at herself there, had the opportunity to dunk it down, just couldn't quite make the connection, and now it's a 3-point deficit.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you get a little excited when you're in the shoes of Lily Cooper. She knew she had it. She was ready to what's essentially dunking it down, and that unfortunately for her, an unforced error. And at kind of a rough time, that opens up a 3-point lead again for NC State.
McDaniel to serve. Johnson just skied for that one. You can see her athleticism on full display there.
That's a fantastic swing by Johnson. Nice extension on the shoulder, and you'll see her split the block. Just found just enough room. Oh, she didn't split it. She just went up and over Melissa Evans. My goodness.
Here's Adam. The lead is back to 3.
And Ryan, you talked about this in set 1. Sometimes you take what your set and the opposing defense gives you, and that's just what Lydia Adam did. It's not flash and dash, but it was wide open space, and maybe about a 90% swing from her, and that ball is down on the floor. It still scores a point.
Here's Wander. Guess who? Wokenieran. Back to Wokenieran, and she finishes what she started.
Nice pass by Wokenieran, and they go give and go back to her. The rhythm wasn't as good maybe as they would have liked it to get that set back to her, but the result is still a point. And again, a very, very seasoned veteran play out of Wokenieran to get that ball to go down.
Wokenieran with a double-double now, 10 kills and 12 digs. She joins Jade Parchment for the Wolfpack in that club today. (13-11) NC State here in the 4th, looking to once again force a 5-setter. Would make it 5 in a row between these two programs. Another service error for Duke.
And Cole was targeting Parchment with that serve, but that ball sailed just wide of the court. So the NC State Wolfpack, the beneficiary of another missed serve from Duke.
1 out of every 7 points NC State has scored today has come via a service error. Stavronidis didn't get the whole thing, but got enough.
Sometimes a miss hit's the best hit. When you yourself don't know where it's going, the defense definitely doesn't know where it's going.
Her second kill in a Duke uniform. Had one the other night. Camille Nazer to serve. Evans, nice dig by Nazer. Wokenieran blocked by Evans and Schock.
Nice block by Evans and Schock. And they camped out on Wokenieran there just a little bit. Nice stuff over there And at this break, we've got NC State with a 15-12 lead here at Cameron Indoor.
There you take a look at the total blocks. Peyton Schwann's trying to rally the troops. NC State has really stepped up in this area. This was a stat that Duke really owned in the early parts of this match, Paul, but we were talking during the break, actually. It's been a big difference for NC State in that category here recently.
Absolutely. NC State's not only scoring on the block, as they did right there with Shaq and McDaniel, but they're also touching some balls and slowing them down enough to allow their defense to continue to make a play. And right on cue, here's the stuff block, and McDaniel with the rare stuff there.
Another one off the tape that Schwantz is able to handle, and another deflection on the block, which takes some of the mustard off of that attack and allows NC State to go to work offensively. They lead by 5 now here in the fourth.
Yep, and back in system, and sure enough, Parchment is on her way, and there's that big, fast arm swing here, hitting around the block of Stavronidis.
Evans on the service line now. The error gives it back to the Blue Devils, 17-13.
Key rotation here. You got Melissa Evans in the back row. I'd expect to see a pipe option from her, especially if the pass goes awry. Otherwise, you've got Schock and Parchment here on offense.
Awokeniran to serve. She has 2 aces in the match already today. There's Evans from the back. The Duke block that time. Schwantz and Stavronidis combine.
Nice block by Schwantz and Stavronidis. They were prepared for that pipe. And I don't mind the swing from Melissa Evans, but nice stuff block.
Stavronidis has come on and had a nice impact for the Blue Devils here in a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
Parchment, full swing. Cole was over in 1, but at least she kept the point alive. Parchment that time couldn't send it over, and the Blue Devils earn the point, so Mackenzie Cole sends it over on 1 touch, but at least allowed her team to stay in the rally. And it'll be a timeout for the Wolfpack, perhaps sensing a bit of a change in momentum. That's one of those you talk about, Paul, where you're just living to fight another day, really. I mean, clearly that's not what Cole was intending to do with that. But first things first was to keep it alive.
Yep. And definitely a rising tide for NC State offensively. And that 167 is a bit deceiving. They're also scoring on their block. And you can see Duke.
The serving run for Awokeniran continues. It's 4 in a row, I believe, for Duke, as Coach Slabe looking on, not loving what he's seen here the last few minutes.
Yep. After
his team had played some really crisp volleyball for the better part of the 4th set.
A nice 4-point run, and the spark really has been Georgia Stavronidis.
There's Schock. Frazier there. McDaniel goes to Evans from the back, and Cooper wins that one-on-one battle. What a block for Lily Cooper against one of the best in the ACC.
And Cooper so long. Good decision there. She didn't get duped by the deception. She stepped right back in and got the solo against Melissa Evans.
A good pass from Frazier. Out wide it goes to Schock. Stavronidis tries to keep it alive. And finally NC State able to break the rhythm. Now the Wolfpack looking for another comeback here. Down 2, Blue Devils 4 points away from victory.
And they're looking for a spark from Chukwu Jeku, who had a decent start to the first set and had a career best on her match on Wednesday.
You can see when Schwantz is able to drift into the ball, into the net, in rhythm, so much power.
And here she goes, coming back in.
A good challenge for Coach Slabe. So instead, Duke needs 3 more points. NC State. Adam dug by Cole. Johnson. Favor return by Parchment. Here's Adam again, leaning away from the net. Johnson couldn't put everything on that one and then just sends it wide. Evans waves the finger, says, not this time.
Well, and Evans was right on the line. She was watching it. She was prepared to make the play as she thought it would be in, and sure enough, it was out. Nice choice on the shot from Johnson, but just a hair too long.
So from 23-19 to 22-20, there's Cooper in the middle. A cluster of players near the net. Schwantz in tight, somehow able to jam it through, even though Evans and Chukwujekwu were positioned well.
Yeah, and Duke got themselves out of trouble there. NC State was closing, but they were not tight enough to the net. They weren't expecting Duke to survive that rally.
Evans, long, no deflection. Match points for Duke at 24-20. So many times the Wolfpack, with backs against the wall, have come up with the goods, but they'll need to do it a number of times in a row here. First things first, Chukwujekwu has it dug out. Cooper could win it, instead the block keeps things alive for NC State.
One last chance for NC State. It's going to come off the serve of Hannah Wander. She's had a decent serving night, and I'd expect them to do more of the same. I would expect them to go right back to serving at Owen Knierin. So we'll see if Owen Knierin can make a quality pass.
Duke is challenging. A successful challenge here would mean the end of the match. 24-21 as it stands now, you know, and it's human nature. The Blue Devils almost certainly starting to think back to what happened at the end of the 3rd set. Got to figure out a way to clinch this match. The Wolfpack on the opposite end are thinking, we've done this before. We were down 5 late in set 3, managed to pull that one out. And here, clearly a crucial replay. Into the net? I don't think so.
Nope, that's going to be ball was what took that net, made that net move. So I think that's going to stay as a point for NC State.
I would agree. And it does.
And to your point, no reason not to review it if you're Jolene Nagel. If there's any chance that you walk off the floor with a victory because of that decision, then hey, you're all the better for it. Take the W. Now that forced Hannah Wander to think a little bit longer about her next serve. So we'll have to see what she comes up with here on this service.
Knierin. Johnson, dug out by Frazier. Parchment. There's Cole, settles under that one easily. Springgate to Knierin, off the deflection. Parchment with another swing. Springgate, Johnson will try to end it. McDaniel is there. Parchment sends it over. Schwantz, a good pass. Knierin, deflected high off the block. NC State, it's Chukwujekwu, the block was there. Evans sends it long, and the Blue Devils win it